Hey folks, Jay here with the Human Reboot Project. I owe you a bit of an apology. Last week during my interview with Garth, I failed to mention that it was actually part one of two. So here's your belated announcement. You've already listened to part one, and if not, go back and listen to it because we're headed into part two of my interview with Garth. We're going to hear more about his cycling career as well as his battle with cancer and how he came back from that. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Cancer. I don't know why, but colon cancer seemed to me like something that I caused. And I realized I didn't. Like, I know I didn't because I know what I do and I know all the the warning, the red flag type activities and behaviors, like the way you eat, the way you exercise, the foods. I didn't check any of those boxes.
How many years did you ride on a 26-inch wheel bike before you switched to 29?
I did a couple. My first few were hardtail 26, and then Cannondale came out with the Scalpel 26, which was their first full suspension. I rode it once and was like, "This is stupid." And then they came out with a 29-inch hardtail, and my fastest times were on a 29-inch hardtail for sure. That was the bike to have, and the course has gotten nothing but smoother since I started. I remember, I think Travis Brown tried to do it on a drop bar gravel style bike one year, and I think he hit a rock or something and like broke a wheel. But now, dudes are basically on that Franken bike, drop bar mountain bike, full front suspension only, I think, what's his name? Dylan Johnson's bike. I saw it in the bike shop in Breck, not this summer, but last. I was like, what the hell is that? And they're like, some kid's doing Leadville. And Dylan came in and I was like, hey, dude. And he's like, oh, we got my bike done. I was like, what the hell is that thing? But it's like, it's like, it looks like a mountain bike and a gravel bike had a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of suspension it is, but they're crazy looking bikes. I'm not comfortable descending on drop bars.
Yeah, I don't. It's I was out riding the gravel bike the other day, and I know a gravel bike's not the same as a mountain bike, and actually it's not even a gravel bike; it's a cyclocross bike with rim brakes. And I was just like,
"That's what we called gravel bikes back then."
I was like, I couldn't even imagine trying to go downhill like power line on this. I would be dead. Yeah. But yeah, now it's basically like short travel mountain bikes with drop bars. And obviously, that's especially this year because Keegan won on a full suspension drop bar bike this year. And so I imagine everybody and their grandmother will be on a full suspension drop bar next year. So I'm thinking that I'm going to probably just place much higher because there's going to be a lot of amateur schmucks like myself but they're going to be on drop bars and they're all going to crash and I'm just going to go right by them.
That's a good plan. Slow and steady, right?
Yeah. When people first started showing up on 29ers, was it like an eye roll? People like, oh, that's not going to last, or was it more like, oh, this makes so much more sense?
By the time I really, that kind of there was very few companies making them. I think like Salsa and Niner, right? And it was a while before the market adapted and the big boys came out with 29. So you'd see a few guys, but those bikes they were a little heavier maybe. They weren't, so you didn't see the super fast guys on them, right, at first. And then like maybe, I don't know who the first Cannondale Specialized or Trek, somebody came out with a 29er and it was proper, it was like more fit for a race, lighter. Right. The wheels were no longer tanks. The original 29er tires were super heavy. And I think people started shredding on them right away as soon as they started showing up there. So I didn't see anybody really shit on them. Mine was a 29-inch aluminum. Think about it, ass hatchet. I remember, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever go back to anything other than a full suspension mountain bike, because the suspension's so good now that they climb like a hardtail.
Yeah.
Which I loved about the first epics with brains. I thought those were just like amazing, because the old epics before the brains, it was like riding a mattress. It's just squishy or rock hard. There was no happy medium. And now with the flight attendants and the microcontrollers on the shocks, dude, it's a game changer. There's another side. There's a race. I don't know what it's called. It's like Tennessee, maybe, where you have to show up on an old bike, like a hardtail with rim brakes.
Okay, like a clunker race or something.
Almost like, yeah. And dudes get them. Dudes are dragging these bikes like, oh, I had this in my attic, or I had this in my like fast guys. Thomas Turner goes down there every year, and he's got an old Niner, I think, that he, whips it up, and triple ring up front, 8-speed in the back, grip shift. It's kind of cool. I haven't gotten to it yet because it's kind of like in the winter, I think, but it's definitely on my list. Is just a fun event. I want to check out. I don't have a bike for it.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm going to get yet, but
yeah, I think they do I don't know if it's a race. I think it's just a ride. It's sort of like they do a clunker ride from Crested Butte to Aspen every year.
They still, oh yeah.
Yeah. The guy who does all my ink. He's a big, old school mountain bike guy. Like, he buys them and builds them out and stuff in 26 inchers, and he goes out and does it every year. And, it's definitely not a race. There's a lot of drinking and smoking that goes on, especially when everybody gets to the top. I think they regroup there, they have to get the right mindset for the downhill.
It's that course. I forget the name of the pass, but you go through that little town above Aspen eventually and drop out down Midnight Mine or something like that. Ashcroft is the name of the town. Yeah, they do it on skis in the winter. I think Grand Traverse, Crested Butte to Aspen.
That's the one that goes through it. The Grand Traverse happens like overnight too, right? Like
I think so. They do it on skis in the winter and bikes in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And again, it's like I think the old timers did that ride way back in the early days. I think they reference it in that movie Clunkers even.
Yeah,
which I just saw for the first time.
That's such a cool film. Yeah, they do the road trip from California, from Marin County out to meet these Crested Butte people who are doing the same thing we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you get tires for a 26-inch bike anymore?
I think you still buy. Like, I think Maxxis still makes like really nice.
They're not high performance, or they are.
I don't know. I haven't ridden them in forever, but I still see people out there riding around on 26-inch bikes. So
I have a 26-inch rock hopper that I found in somebody's curb. No front brake boss. The one that was bent. It's cantilever. It's OG, and that's my wife's fucking commuter bike when she rides to the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's probably early 90s.
Yeah.
7 or I think it's 8. I think it's 3x8 speed with grip shift. Probably one of the original grip shifts.
Wow.
Yeah. But it works.
Yeah, I think there's I see kids in my neighborhood, they're riding on kids' bikes, but they're 26-inch bikes. So I think I think there'll always probably be a place for the 26-inch wheel bike. Is kids are growing as they're sort of making that transition to, I don't know, 29. I don't know, maybe, who knows? As long as there's still bikes in the world, we're good.
Right.
Yeah. So let's switch gears here a little bit, because I don't know exactly how long ago it was, before the pandemic, right? You were diagnosed with colon cancer.
Yeah, it was January 2015.
Yeah, as a guy who is a longtime athlete and takes care of himself, I mean, cancer's scary for anybody, but I think,
I
think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like it always hits a little harder when you think you're doing everything right in terms of taking care of yourself, or trying to do everything right at least. And then,
I got the genetics. Nobody in my family,
yeah.
So I figured, it was like I grew up in a small town. I didn't know a soul that had my mom's sister had skin cancer, but that's kind of like, it's environmental, where like she's like, oh, we always laid out in the sun and slathered ourselves with grease as kids.
Yeah.
No sunscreen.
Baby oil. Yeah, you put
exist.
the baby oil on, right?
Yeah, sunscreen didn't exist. And she had it, and they cut it out, and that was it. But to have an internal thing, and I don't know why I was always scared of it. I guess because you saw TV shows where people get it and they just die. And I was at Ohio State. I worked in the hospital. I worked in research there. I was around it, but I never knew anybody that had it. And so it was just like always the thing where I'm like, I tell people this, I don't know if I even like broccoli, but I eat that shit every day because I think it might be healthy. And now it's just like the point where I'm just eating it. I don't know. So I thought, I'm doing everything right. I stay away from the bad stuff. I don't eat fast food, deep fried, processed crap occasionally.
Yeah.
And I started feeling off at the end of 2014. Like something felt weird. Like it started with a rash, and I don't know if they were correlated, but the rash was, it was like a bad chamois rash all around my tank. And it was like, I'm talking, I had done Shenandoah on Labor Day weekend. And then I had a week off, or like 10 days off. And then I did a 4-day stage race called Hellhole in South Carolina. And fitness wise, I was great. We were racing all the time, like maybe 800 milers, a bunch of other stuff, a couple stage races. And I was feeling pretty fast. I won Hellhole. And then traveled up to Asheville for the Pisgah stage race.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had like 3 days to recover, and the Hellhole was like flat. So it's just a lot of pedaling. You're not climbing at all. And it's not technical. It was a gravel race. And then went up to Pisgah and won the Masters. But I was talking to a girl who had been at Shenandoah, and I'm like, God, dude, I don't know whether I have chiggers, because it was all under my chamois where I just itched. And I'm like, it was driving me nuts. I went to the pharmacy. I bought everything they had for like jock itch, chiggers, you name it. And it finally went away. I couldn't even sleep the first 3 days after Hellhole and into that. And I don't know if it's my body saying, hey, you got a tumor in there, you might want to get checked out. Or if I did have some like chiggers, or just a crazy like swamp ass, for lack of a better word, where you're just riding them. It wasn't necessarily under my saddle, but all over, like, like almost like an autoimmune type reaction that people get, where they just get a rash.
Yeah.
Like shingles almost. It looked like shingles, but it wasn't specific to any, like, oh, my chamois goes to here. It didn't end there, but it was odd. And so I started getting a little like, something's not right. And I went to a GI doc because I started feeling bloaty. And I'm like, I'm just gonna get checked out, And he's like, yeah, I think you got a hemorrhoid, dude. I wouldn't worry about it. You don't have cancer in your family, and you don't check any of the boxes for being on high risk. And I kept feeling weird. And I was out, like, now we're in like December, and I'm out riding with a buddy of mine who's a doctor, and we're talking about it, and we're both getting up there. We're like 44, 42 at the time. He relayed a story about somebody he knew, and I go, yeah, I'm going to go back and push that doctor to get my scope, because I didn't fall in the age range. Right. You had to be 50. And it was kind of freaky. I was sitting right here after that ride that Don and I did, and I Googled my symptoms. And what I had done before is Googled hemorrhoids after that doctor told me that. And it's like, oh yeah, here's your symptoms. And I had the symptoms of hemorrhoids, which is like weird, like maybe you feel like an urgency or an irregular rotation for, like, me, I was always like, get up, smell the coffee, take care of business, good for the day. All of a sudden I'm coming home in the afternoon, I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I gotta hit it. And it wasn't like I had to, So it's a feeling of urgency. Well, it turns out hemorrhoid, is a vein that's kind of like soft and weakened, and you get a balloon bulge. So you get an abnormal pressure in there, and the pressure makes you think you got to go.
Right.
Well, guess what? A tumor does the same fucking thing. And this doctor didn't say, "Oh, you might have a tumor there." He stuck his finger in my butt and goes, "You got a hemorrhoid." And I'm like, "Hey, how about some flowers first, buddy?" Well, what he was poking at was a malignant tumor.
Wow.
Still don't know. Like, I don't have any idea how that thing ended up there. It wasn't affecting my performance because I won Hellhole and I won the stage race, and I had that. He's like, "Yeah, it's probably been there like 2 to 5 years." So and just slowly growing. And again, my dad was 92 and died and didn't have colon cancer. My mom's 90, still alive. She didn't have it. My grandma was 101 when she passed. My grandpa, everybody, this is old. I'm like, well, these people live farmer lives and didn't exercise but worked as far, like, I'm like, I live like a monk. I'm going to live forever. And then I just, and I'm like, unbelievable. So I tell people now, I'm like, if something feels weird and the first doctor doesn't give you the answer you want, go to 3 more. Because I ended up going, I got like opinions left and right.
Yeah.
And I went down to Duke. I was at Clinic. I was at Mayo. I was at OSU after I was diagnosed, mind you. But if I'd have listened to that first GI doc and just gone home and let it go, I don't know if it would have metastasized and I'd be having this conversation with you.
I appreciate you sharing that. And the big thing I'm hearing is advocating for yourself. And you're not the first person that I've interviewed or talked to who has had to advocate for themselves because there's just something wrong that wasn't adding up. And I think
especially if you're an athlete and you know your body. Like I've been like running since I was 15 and working hard at stuff like doing it. And when something's off and you can't go, "Oh, well, I ate those tacos from that taco truck that looked a little dirty." And then that continues, which it is what it is. It's like one-off. It's a one-off, like, "Oh shit. I must have ate some rotten meat." This was like it continued and build up. Like, don't let people tell you there's nothing wrong with you or it's just in your head if you know your body.
Listen to your body and advocate for yourself.
And know your body. Like, I'm pretty boring with my, oatmeal every morning, coffee, oatmeal, banana, clementine. I had a regimen, and so nothing changed. But the result changed. So that was kind of like, whoa, this is weird. And I wasn't, I was at a good clinic where I finally got my scope. And the doctor told me that was a hemorrhoid, the one that ended up scoping me after I fought with him. And they go, "Well, all right, I was like, dude, I've done these scopes before in little hospitals. I worked in scope labs, video surgery stuff. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have cancer." Because when you Googled the symptoms, it was like, "Get to a CR specialist immediately." And I'm like, "How could you not want to test me?" And I go in, I made some joke with him beforehand. He was kind of a dick to me. And then I wake up and I grab my chart and I'm like, "Oh, fuck." But I was so high from whatever they give you that I remember being like, 2 to 3 proximal. Okay. About a finger deep. I'm like, well, at least it'll be easy to get out. Not thinking, well, they got to get margins, and I would have been left, with a bag the rest of my life if they tried to cut it out. Which, again, after getting the diagnosis, I went to got a bunch of options from different healthcare systems that couldn't have been more disparate. And oddly, it's a big hospital system here in Central Ohio. You can see OSU from their cancer building. You can see the OSU James where I went. It's called the James Cancer Hospital. Amazing, amazing research hospital. Quite literally saved my ass. But all the big ones were on the page with them. The smaller, older hospitals that aren't research hospitals that aren't on the cutting edge, and they were like, yeah, full resection. We're going to put a bag on your side the rest of your life.
Wow.
And I'm like, how can you be that far apart? This is my rant against healthcare. Is like, I'm all fine with capitalism, but get on the fucking same page, share your results, work together. No, we're going to keep this for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it bothers me because just to think if I'd have just stayed at Riverside, fuck them.
And so some of those first recommendations were, we're going to cut it out, remove a huge part of your colon, and that's what spurred
take
you
it all of it,
Wow.
all the way up. Yeah. And I got that diagnosis or that recommendation from 2 different healthcare systems, but then from 4 healthcare systems that were bigger research facilities, they're like, well, I don't know how you could even say that because we haven't even, hit it yet. And they're like, you're strong. We're going to hit it hard. And so it was, I think it was the same as what you told me, if you don't mind discussing yours. I figured as much. Yeah. So now's where I review you. They're like, we hit it hard with, and we got to plan it. There's like the physics, radiation physics, or I forget what the term is. All these groups, these 3 researchers get together and analyze and line it up, and then they start hitting you with radiation 5 days a week for 5.5 weeks, Monday through Friday. You go in and get zapped, and it's like, I don't know, 20 seconds in the chair. Super high tech laser beams gone everywhere so they can line it up with the little tattoos they put on you. And then basically it takes you longer to get your pants off than the zapping. And then taking a handful of pills every morning and night and staying away from people. It's like, I was afraid to hold my dog the way they said all the mornings on these pills, And they're like, it was 5 fluorouracil, 5 FU, 5 feet under. I don't know if it's the same. It's pretty standard chemo, and it's kind of like just kills the weak stuff off. It's like a sweeper. And then 8 weeks to let it die, and then another analysis, and yep, it's hey dude, it died. And I'm like, oh cool. And they're like, yeah, well, that's it. We're gonna do a biopsy and make sure it's dead, but we can tell from looking at it, it's dead. So yeah, and that was it. No cutting.
Was that 2014, 2015, or
it was January of 2015 to I think it was I think I finished up on April Fool's Day, like April 1st. And then somewhere around my birthday, mid-May, was when they did the final you're good. And then it's just like, all right, now the monitoring begins.
Yeah.
And you're in there all the time. So I had more colonoscopies in that year than most people get in a lifetime, probably.
Yeah. And so are you a yearly colonoscopy still?
No, I'm like civilian level now.
Okay.
And being over 50, it's like once every 3 years. So
okay. Yeah.
Coming up soon.
Yeah. Well,
so mine was on the south end. Yours was on the north end.
Yeah.
What was your cue, like something's not right?
Yeah. So in 2019, the year I turned 50, I started in the spring, I got a really bad sinus infection. And with that, a large lump on the side of my neck, and went to the doctor. And I have a history of sinus infections. And so he thought it was, just related to the sinus infection. Course of antibiotics, knocked the sinus infection out. The lump went away. And when I think about it, I could remember, even though the lump was gone, if I touched my neck, I could sort of still feel a lump there. But I think like a lot of people, just kind of like, it's nothing. It's, it's gone away. It's not that, whatever it is, it's just, sinus infection. October of that year, after coming back from a bike tour in Europe, got another sinus infection, and the lump came back bigger and better. And this time the antibiotics didn't knock it out. So I actually went to one of my coworkers who's a little older than I am. She's a mom, and right, moms know best. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, Kristen, look at this lump on my neck. What do you think it is? And she like put her fingers up there, and her eyes got really big. And I'm like, what? She's like, I don't know, but you need to go to the doctor. And went back to my doctor, and he agreed with her. He's like, yeah, that's something. Let's dig a little deeper. And so I had a MRI, and then then an ultrasound biopsy. Needle biopsy, ultrasound biopsy, PET scan. And somewhere along the way, in my head, like, I finally clicked. I was like, this is a lot of testing just for a lump. I was like, this has got to be cancer. And I never said that out loud. I just thought it to myself. I never shared that with my wife. And I finally got the call from my ENT, and he shared the results and said, you've got cancer. And I ended up, my treatment was a little different, like most cancer treatments. No one's treatment is the same. I ended up I was given some options. I was given the chemo radiation option, as well as I was given the option of surgery and radiation. And I chose that. I just heard horror stories about chemo, and I kind of felt like my ENT felt that surgery would probably be the way to go with this as well. And I'm glad I went that way, because I've talked to people who've gone the chemo radiation route, and it just sounds awful. So I had a bilateral neck dissection. They took out 20 lymph nodes. About 5 of those ended up being cancerous. And then I had a bunch of stuff cut out of the back of my throat as well, because the cancer had spread back. I don't know if the cancer started in my throat or in my lymph nodes, but either way, they ended up taking margins, cutting out margins, about a 6-hour surgery between the two. And once I was healed up from that, COVID had started. So I started radiation when the entire state of Colorado was shut down, which in hindsight actually made things a lot easier. It was super easy to get back and forth to the hospital. I parked right out in front of the hospital every single day, because no one was going through the regular doors. Everybody that was going, unfortunately, was going to the hospital was going there for severe COVID, and they were going through the ER. And I did, like you, I did 6 weeks of radiation daily, had the weekends off. I felt pretty fortunate. I definitely had all sorts of nasty side effects, but I was able to keep riding my bike through most of that, doing light exercise, wasn't doing anything crazy, but yeah.
So that's funny. You were able to keep riding. Mine was on the south end.
Yeah.
So it was like, and since we're getting real, it felt like every time I had a number 2, every time I took a dump, which wasn't often because I was barely eating, because I was eating such like an animal. It was the image the first time it happened was like a red hot charcoal briquette was passing through my sphincter. And it would have been, to me, I think, pain is kind of funny to me, like when you vomit insanely and you just can't stop. I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's like, Jesus, dude, stop. You're killing you. Well, your body's killing you. It's like, nothing really that wrong, I would have been able to laugh about it if I knew it was working. But that's why I was into juicing and stuff, but I couldn't ride a bike. I couldn't sit down. And my wife had told me right before, she's a yoga instructor on the side. So she's like, and I was literally never told, like 5 people in the world knew about my situation. Like my 2 good riding buddies and Molly, and maybe 3 good riding buddies. And that was it. The surgeon I worked with, I called him up and told him, I was like, dude, I don't know. And the 2 guys I ride with are docs, and one of them told somebody at the James, which was fortunate that I told him, because that got me fast tracked through the James, and I was able to get the treatment I needed and not go to a hospital where they cut me up. But yeah, I got my wife said, you have to do something. You have to go back to running. I was training to go to El Reto with Todd, which is a stage race in Guatemala that was going to take place in February. So I was training my ass off, and I went to 0 hours a week. Mentally, I couldn't get on bike after I was diagnosed. I couldn't do anything. And then that made it even worse, because I'm a psycho and I can't do something for an hour a day, at least get hot and get sweaty.
Sure.
She's like, you have to go go to yoga. And I'm like, fuck that, that's lame. And she's like, no, it's sweaty, it's hot, you probably won't get through the class. And I think honestly, the challenge was when she said, it's okay when you walk out, as if I'm not gonna make. I was like, bitch, I can make that. It's a 90-degree class for an hour, I can do anything. Well, I made it because, you know, I grew up on a farm. You don't have any choice but to bale the hay. You can't like sit down or say no. But I got addicted because it was the only hour. I didn't tell any of those girls in yoga. It was 90% women. I don't want the sympathy. I don't want people looking at me. I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to forget about it. And it was like going in there and getting in there and doing the hour and 10-minute hot yoga and focusing on not falling down, took my brain off of my situation. And then for the half hour after, I was high on endorphins. So it was like, oh my God, for 2 hours a day, I can forget about everything. Because otherwise my brain was just constantly focused. And it's like reading journals and trying to find out what, you know, medical journals, what's the treatment? What do I want to do? What do I need to do? How do I get this thing out of me? And it was just like, it's a lot because they don't really know everything. You're not going to find an answer. You just sometimes you got to try. So getting something to take my mind off of it for 2 hours, all of a sudden I went from, she taught yoga for 10 years. I'd never gone once. All of a sudden I'm going 7 days a week and twice on Saturday or Sunday and sometimes both. Just like, all right, I need my fix. I got to go. I got addicted to yoga. So that was my sanctuary. Like I got so into it, I went out and got like sponsored by Prana to be a Prana ambassador for yoga.
Nice.
I loved it so much. Now I can't go anymore because my arm isn't quite healed from getting broke. I haven't been in over a year, but fortunately I have other things back in my life to get my brain straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding an outlet, because those first 2 weeks, 3 weeks after diagnosis, I was spiraling bad, dude. Like, just I couldn't do anything. When I did get on the bike, you know, your brain would start to wander into your situation. It's just not good. Like, I couldn't focus on the ride. I like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
My friends would try and drag me out, and I did ride a little, but I went from, you know, 25 hours a week to maybe 3. And that's the first week, none at all. But then like a couple guys were like, yeah, man, you got to come ride with us. And I'd go out, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't the riding I wanted to do.
Well, you know, I think that's so important, right? It sort of acknowledging, as you called it, spiraling, and it
wasn't like they told me, hey, you're gonna die, you know. That was me. I was like, well, I did everything right and I still got this thing. I might as well. I cleaned up everything in my life. I sold all my bikes but one. I sold all my riding gear, my team clothing, everything I could get rid of, I sold. Because I was like, well, I don't want to leave a pile of shit for my 6-year-old son. I think he was 7-year-old son and my wife to deal with. I went to the worst place possible. And then without being at work, because I called up the hospitals. I was like, I can't, because my hospitals were 4 to 6 hours away from home. Like, I can't commit to coming down there for surgery for work when I've got to be here and making appointments. And, you know, one side of the river, the hospital's on one side of the river, the university's on the, you know, and like some stuff's over here, some stuff's over there. And like, you just, it's like constant. Yeah. I feel for people. I had an in at the system, but if you were like my parents that aren't online and aren't tech savvy and don't live around it, I mean, my God, it must be horrible because it wasn't great for me. And I had an in, you know, I had people on the inside advocating for me. I had the one of the other researchers in orthopedics at the same hospital system where I was treated. He was like the head guy. So he was holding my hand with the research side on cancer, basically guiding me through this. and it was still god awful. You know, it was like yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, you're doing your best to take care of yourself, especially on the physical end, looking for that fix with the yoga, which seemed to be helping with the headspace as well. Did you do anything else? Were you seeing did you go to a counselor or therapist at all?
They asked me some questions, and me being me, I was like, they're like, do you think about, I don't think they said, do you think about like hurting yourself or something? And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to go hurt myself. It's what I do on the bike. I want to hurt myself.
I love the good hurt
because I'm going through this. And I triggered something, and they're like, well, you have to go see this counselor. And I'm like, she's like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, fucking fix this and I won't have any problems. Like, it's not like hard to figure out. I go, tell me how to fix this and that. But I went once, and that was it. As far as like the one for me, and I thought this would be hell. I would go to sleep, pass out from being exhausted. This is before diagnosis. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking about like work or a project I was doing or something, and stressing about it. And, like, oh, did I get all my tires right for this race? Or did I get all my work parts I need to be lined up and ready to go for this hospital, that hospital? I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Once I called all the hospitals and canceled all my work, I started sleeping like after the second night after diagnosis, I was sleeping like 9-10 hours. I don't know what happened. And I wasn't taking anything at all. I did ask for something, and it was like Ambien. I took one, it didn't do anything. So this was like the first night. And so the second night I took 2. It didn't do anything. I was like, screw this. I'm not going to overdose this. I took half a Benadryl, and that made me sleep. Then I'm like, all the whole, like, you got to de-stress. And I'm like, well, what's the best de-stressor? And I'm like, well, weed. But I don't smoke. But I do eat edibles. And this was before it was legal everywhere. And my buddy in Colorado was a home grower, and he had a ton of edibles, and so I had some, and I started taking like a little bit at night before bed, and I was also sleeping 10 hours. And I went, and so the main there's like 3 doctors. There's oncology, radiation oncology, and medical surgery. The surgery guy is like the captain, and these 2 guys are like toes. And I go, hey, dude, I'm stressing. I'm taking, cannabis edibles at night. And he's like, well, how's it working? And I go, I went to yoga at 6 this morning. And then, what are we on the 9th floor today? I go, I sprinted up here. He goes, yeah, I don't see any reason. He goes, I want you to tell me how that works for you though. Because there's all the pain pills and stuff, right? And I go, I'm not taking any of that shit because I heard it's really zombie. He goes, that shit's bad for you, dude. If you can do this and get through it, I want you to do what makes you comfortable. But I can tell you that the stuff we're going to give you is bad for you. And there's no signs of that being bad for you. And it's not going to affect what we're doing over here. So I had never been a daily cannibal. Daily cannabis.
Glad you're not a cannibal.
All of a sudden, I was like, every night, I'm like, all right, as soon as my son gets home, like at 3 or whatever, off the bus, I'm like, all right, he's off the bus. I'm not going to have to drive anywhere. I'm popping an edible. And then we'd go out in the yard and play Frisbee or throw the football or something like that. And I'd sleep amazing. I'd eat another one before bedtime. I'd wake up a little sparkly and go to yoga every day. So I'm a big advocate for that. Like, if you can stay off the zombie pills, we call it. My buddy had a blood cancer. We weren't really that good of friends. He went to my wife's yoga class, and he's like, oh dude, I took those once after my first chemo, because his chemo was port, an IV. Is that what you had?
I didn't do the chemo. I did surgery and radiation.
Right. Yeah. So, but you didn't have to do. So your radiation was just go in and get zapped.
It was.
That's what I had oral chemo. Mine wasn't like the big chemo, like where you're on a transfusion or something. It was just a handful of pills. so I didn't have to sit through it. I never got nauseous once, but I don't get nauseous. So it is kind of a thing. I don't rarely get nausea from anything. One time in my life, I smoked a Marlboro and I got nauseous. And I like felt so bad. I was probably 17. And somebody's like, yeah, smoke a cigarette. Oh, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I think I took 2 hits off it. I thought I was sick for an hour. I didn't throw up, but I felt like I was like, if I could do anything to make that end, I was like, I do not understand that. And also, probably causes cancer. So I'm like, I'm not going to mess with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, obviously, before cancer, you're already living a super healthy lifestyle, eating well, exercising a shit ton, obviously. Discovered yoga during cancer, as well as edibles.
Well, I knew about those before.
I know, but discovered
for a few years.
Yeah. But and then was there like a day? I don't know, maybe not a day, but was there a time where like all of a sudden like the switch flipped for you and like, man, I've made it through this cancer bullshit. Now I can just go back to being Garth and living my life, or does it still linger in the back of your head? Have you changed anything since your diagnosis and moving through your cancer?
You know what? I lost the ability to go super hard in training or anything. And I don't know if I lost it or it's just like I also became like I was middle-aged, I think, so there's that whole thing. What caused it? But I just stopped. Like if shit got too hard on the bike, I'm like, this is dangerous, or this hurts too much. I'm not going to go to the point of like explosion, like when you're trying to do an effort anymore. I just, that went away. And part of me is like, yo, I want to smell the roses. And I also said, well, like now I'm an old dog. I want to stop and sniff a bush and pee on one or two. I don't want to just go flying past everything and not like enjoy the beauty of it. Okay. So I love long ass mountain bike rides now where I just go, oh, look at that. And I stop and I throw the bike down and I walk over and I sit down and look around. There's a picture of me from 2 summers ago. I stopped and sat on a log and was eating lunch and a fox came out of the woods. And I sat there for 20 minutes with this fox. He sat like 10 feet away and I'm eating like pear chips because I'm a fucking hippie. And they're like pear chips from a pear tree that I pick the pears and slice them and dry. And I'm like, man, you want one of these, dude? And we eventually, because we communicated, but he came over and sat right beside me. I got a picture of me. I'm petting him. And it's in the middle of nowhere, Colorado. He's not like used to people. And he's sitting there letting me pet him.
Did he talk to you in a Johnny Cash voice?
He did not speak.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that Simpsons with Homer's spirit animals, the fox? That sounds like Johnny Cash.
But one of my favorite shows. But yeah, I want it like, so that shit's to me is way better now than like flying through life, I still love to go hard. I love to go all day. And like, I'm getting, now that it was 10 years, 10 years in May, right?
Yeah.
So, May is when they finally did the biopsy. It was the day after my birthday. So I don't even celebrate my birthday anymore. I celebrate the next day, May 19th, because that's the day they did the fine. Nice. They're like, well, we're going to poke a hole in it, take it like, and it was like, it wasn't just a walk in. I had to get knocked out. And because it was kind of an intern. So they had to
open the door wide.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but as far as going back, I don't think you can ever go back to who you were before. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel different now than I used to. Like, different things made me happy. And it was, I mean, I don't know about your situation. You're like 4 years behind me. I bet it was 5 years before I didn't think about, I'm a cancer survivor on a daily basis. Now I'll go like weeks. It's just time, you forget a little more and a little more. And I rarely have breakdown moments, like almost never anymore. The first 5 years, it was like, holy shit, I came so close. It's like if a rock fell right beside you, and
Right.
would have crushed you but missed you. That's how I feel. Because like if I had ignored it, or I talk to these people now and they're like, oh yeah, well, I was pooping blood for a year. And I'm like, Judas Priest, dude, you didn't go to a doctor? And I mean, I had one bout of like, I went to fart and it was, whoa, I thought it was like diarrhea. It was blood. That's what turned me on. It was a bloody fart. And I'm like, I don't have those issues. I don't like randomly shit myself. I got up and went like, and I was like, oh, Jesus. What? And it was like a teaspoon of bright red blood.
Yeah.
And that's what made me go, holy fuck, I got to go to the doctor. That was my first sign.
Yeah.
And then it got, by the time, because you can't just, it's not like you just run in, you make an appointment. It's like, well, it's a month and a half out. And then I went to the guy. He's like, yeah, it's a hemorrhoid. Don't worry about it. And I was like, all right, but I want to see you again. And that was between July and October. That's how long it took me to get in.
Yeah.
And then between October and December, I made the appointment in December to have a scope. And I had to kind of argue. I was like, dude, you got to. And he's like, well, I guess we can do it. But also I started getting that urgency, that like weird, like, you got to take a dump and I don't have to sort of feeling later on in December. And that's when I was like, something's definitely wrong. That's when I Googled my symptoms and was like, get to a CR specialist. And I'm like, dude, I have all the symptoms of a tumor. And he's like, yeah, but I stuck my finger in there. I told you it was a hemorrhoid. And I was like, I don't care what you said. If you don't do it, I'll find somebody who will.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, if anybody listening to this, if your one takeaway is, it should be, don't ignore those symptoms. Let's know your body, listen to your body, and advocate for yourself. I had a good friend who passed away a couple of years ago from colon cancer. And by all accounts, he probably ignored a lot of the early signs. And, he didn't know that he had cancer until it was stage 4. And he made the decision not to move forward with any type of treatment because it was so bad. And, you have to respect people's choices.
Right.
But you also have to wonder the whole what if, like if he hadn't ignored those symptoms.
People are so weird about the colon cancer. I was too. I would even tell people, I was like, oh yeah, I had a GI cancer. I don't know why, but colon cancer seemed to me like something that I caused. And I realized I didn't. Like, I know I didn't, because I know what I do, and I know all the the warning, the red flag type activities and behaviors, like the way you eat, the way you exercise, the foods. I didn't check any of those boxes. So like if I caused it, it's something we don't know about.
Yeah.
I did hear recently, and I'm just shit on the industry, but the alcoholic mouthwashes, there's a study out now that people who use those things, it kills some of the bacteria in your mouth. Well, it kind of kills some and lets some other like proliferate.
Right.
And there's I can't come to the name right now, fusobacteria, one of the bacteria that's prevalent in cancers from the mouth to the ass. And in people that use those alcoholic mouthwashes a lot, and that bacteria is more prevalent. And so it's not a, for sure thing. It's not like, but it's something to watch out for and maybe not use. And it makes sense because I worked in healthcare and I was in the OR and the exam rooms. And so you wore a mask all the time and you smell your fucking breath. And so I was constantly like, ugh. And I wouldn't, if I ate, I brushed, I flossed, I rinsed. And sometimes I would just rinse with that, like whatever blue-green mouthwash that tastes like mint. And that just came out in the last couple of months. And it was in a respected journal. I'm like, it's not worth it. Fuck it. I don't care if my breath smells. but I'm also not working in that industry. But I tell people, I'm like, just maybe why take a chance?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not a medical anything, but we do know that, that alcohol does all sorts of crappy things to your body.
Yeah.
And it does, make sense that if you're putting it in your mouth, and even though you're not
Even if you're
swallowing
spitting it out,
you're still swishing it around
right,
in
and
your
you're
mouth.
swallowing some of it.
Yeah.
And,
I stopped using not for that reason, just because it hurt so bad because of the sores in my throat. I use like the non-alcoholic sensitive mouth type stuff like biotin
right.
now, which is still a ton of different chemicals, I'm sure. But one of the things is my saliva glands don't work like they used to. So I have to constantly be lubricating the inside of my mouth, whether it's chewing gum or, some type of mouthwash designed for that. So,
so in your case, oral cancer, did they relate it to the HPV? Human papilloma virus.
Yeah. So mine is my cancer was HPV related. And for those people who don't know, this is a type of cancer, my type of cancer, as well as like a lot of types of cervical cancer, anal cancer. HPV can cause all those types of cancer.
Right.
And there's a vaccine now, 2-part vaccine between ages 9 and 10 is the ideal time to have it. But I have friends who've had the vaccine in their late 30s.
Oh, you can go that long.
Yeah. My wife,
you could go.
Yeah. My wife's in her early 40s, and she the doctor's recommendation after finding out that I had HPV cancer recommended that she get it as well. So yeah, mine's HPV.
Because it will 100% prevent what you had, right?
Yeah,
not 100.
Yeah, I don't say. They never say 100%.
No, 9.9 or something.
It is. We could be eliminating different types of HPV related cancer just by vaccinations.
And it's where people stand on that. Because if you told me I get a vaccine to not go through what I went through, 100%.
Yep. You just disappeared on me, Garth.
I know. Hand gestures. Something would happen. There we go. I didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
I push that. Like I'm not in the industry. I don't get paid for it. Some guy tried to come at me during COVID. Like, oh, you work in that industry and you're getting paid. I'm like, one, I don't work in that industry anymore. If you want to die, take your risk, dude. I didn't get online and say, take the COVID vax. I took the COVID vax. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm not scared of vaccines. And I know what cancer is. Yeah. I've lived it, and it's fucking ugly. And I just lost an acquaintance to esophageal cancer that was HPV related. I'm sure he wishes he could have gotten the vaccine, but he was older than me and it wasn't available. Yeah. So for the kids out there, get that shit.
Yeah, 100%. The HPV vaccine is one of the most highly studied vaccines. Right. They continue to administer it and then track patients' well-being, not only for side effects but for its efficacy. Right? We know that people that get the HPV vaccine dramatically reduce their risk for about 6 different types of cancer. And to your point, it's like, if I could have gotten the vaccine because it had been available, I would have gotten it. My mom would have made sure I got it. My dad would have made sure I gotten it. I wouldn't have, be doing a podcast about this shit now. So, yeah.
But
all right.
We would have met once in Asheville, and that would have been it.
That would have been it. Yeah, you would have never. Yeah, I would say the one cool thing about having cancer is I've met a lot of great people along the way. So that I don't think I would have met otherwise, or have had the same type of relationship. So going circling all the way back to the start of our conversation, I appreciate you reaching out all those years ago when I started just throwing my life out there on the internet because I didn't know any other way to process it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we all would go through that differently, huh?
Yeah.
I hid. I went and hid under a rock. Yeah. My cycling friends didn't know what was wrong with me, and I make up shit. I'd be like, I want to spend more time with my son. I want to, anything but, tell them the truth about what was going on. I didn't even tell people afterwards generally for a long time until it started to weasel out. And then I was like, fuck it. It's been long enough.
The reason I started blogging and putting up stuff on Instagram about it was because it hurt to talk. because I'd had a, operation in the back of my throat, and it was just, and I was just getting, and I appreciate people reaching out and checking in on me, but it gets really old, like texting or trying to say the same thing over and over. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put it out there and share it with everybody. And if they want to know, they can check in on me that way. So, yeah. So, we're getting near our time, but we're going to have a pop quiz moment in just a second. But first thing I want to ask is sort of, what's in the future for you? It doesn't look like you're slowing down. You're going to keep racing the bikes and doing all the fun things.
Yeah, that's my plan. Now my son's he's at school, and it's so weird. He was like this little baby when all this started. Now he's gone and it's college. Hopefully doing great things and not bad things. But yeah, I want to keep doing more adventures again now. Like this summer, because it was his last summer, in high school, after high school and whatnot, I cut way back. I only did I didn't leave the state really for any events other than Shenandoah 100.
Right.
I went back and did that. I think Chris is not sure because his records are sketchy at best, but I might have the most starts and finishes at Shenandoah.
Wow.
Of anyone. I know I missed the first one because I didn't know about it, and then I missed like 3 or 4 more for funerals. I oddly, just for funerals, the only reason I missed them, which is weird, right? How many people die on Labor Day for some reason?
Huh.
But yeah, I missed several, just a handful though. So I think I've done that like 4 times out of 27. So what I missed more than racing was seeing all my friends when when you cut back, you don't get to see your friends from out of state as much. And it's still the old crew that, some of them, they come or go away and then come back. But there's still, the people out there. I'm like, I want to keep going and at least hanging out at races. If I don't line up, if I do line up, it's like, go as fast as I want. Yeah. I don't care about winning or trying to win. I know I'm not going to win at this age. If somebody like my age is starting to win, you better test them because
Well, I know you're still fast because 2 years ago, which is the last time we did Leadville together. I say we did Leadville together. You started way up here. I started way back here. And you were talking about not going fast. And I was still going up Columbine when you were coming down. So you're still fast.
Yeah, but I got to start ahead of you.
Well, not an hour ahead of me. And are we going to see you in Leadville in 26?
I think so. Yeah.
Nice. And I didn't ask, but I assume you did Leadville this in 2015 after your cancer.
I did it on chemo. Yeah, I had to take a look. But that's what another thing I want to tell you chose not to do chemo, and it's a different situation up here than down there. My chemo had no effect on me. My hair didn't fall out.
Wow.
My stomach was really grumbly. The one thing I know, I'd sit on the couch at night, and I had a dog then, Bella, that got me through cancer. She would always lay on my lap, and you just hear I don't know why it was so loud. But my stomach was super loud and grumbly, and it didn't bother me, but it bothered her, and she'd get up and leave. But that was the only effect I had from my chemo. And I was on, so after it's gone, they want you to do a sleeper chemo in my case. And apparently that's still the thing, because my buddy just went through colon cancer. His was a different situation. They cut 8 inches out, and he was on his way. That was it. He was back in the gym a week later doing light workouts. It literally was like a month and a half for him.
Wow.
But when mine was down low, so they had to kill it. They basically couldn't cut it out. They had to kill it. So it wasn't bad, it didn't have an effect on me. And I did Shenandoah. So Leadville was my week off. I was like a week on and a week off for 4 months or something afterwards. And it was just a handful of pills. So I didn't drink alcohol that year, and it didn't want to stress my body at all. And now I'm back. I say I live like a monk. Monks brew beer, right? I still drink it. I just don't drink very much.
The fun ones do.
Yeah, not every night. It's not like I was never a drunk, but I might have 2 or 3 beers sometimes after a race. Now it's 1. But yeah, I did Shenandoah. I had to get up in the morning and take this handful of fucking horse pills and then go ride. It didn't it didn't take me out of life.
No,
It was
that's good.
annoying, but it didn't take me out of life. And then some people like, I was worried because I'm like, oh, I hate being nauseous. I'm never nauseous. I don't get hangovers or headaches. I don't know if that's bad or good. I just don't seem to get them. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. You think of the people that are on chemo and they're just violently sick and they're puking and their hair's falling out. And I asked ahead of time, I go, so dude, should I just shave my head now? And he goes, no. He goes, it's not like that anymore. He goes, yeah, some people lose all their hair and some chemos are really hard. He goes, I think you'll be all right. You got a pretty good shock of hair up there. And I was like, man, I mean, maybe it got a little thinner. I don't know. But it's that, people like that. One of the things you shouldn't worry about is that. Worry about killing what's inside of you. Another thing I read a report on recently was like how chemo worked. It was related intensity training to chemotherapy for treatment. And it was like people that trained harder, and it could just be they're healthier, that trained through treatment had a better outcome. And they theorizing that the high intensity training caused normal cells to adapt, and cancerous malignant cells can't adapt. They're not. They lose their elasticity because they don't have the ability to die. That's what cancer is a cell that doesn't run its natural course and die off. It just multiplies and lives and creates a tumor in hard cancers. So I don't know. I haven't read the follow-up on it. As you get away from cancer, in my case, I stopped reading about it every day. Maybe that's why I'm able to forget about it. But, at first you're just like everything that comes out, you read it, and not some bullshit on Instagram, but like a legit study, Right. I've seen so much bullshit and I'm just like, oh my God, I used to get people that would tell you just things. You need to do this. I'm like, oh, okay, doc.
Yeah.
From people that have no experience.
I had somebody reach out to me about their magic oils. They didn't call them magic oils. I call them magic oils.
I had some magic oil, but it just made me sleep.
No, this was like this was basically going to be magic oil that was going to cure me. And I was like, okay.
Oh, I had a guy now. Like no advanced education in healthcare or anything. He's like, oh, dude, I would never do that chemo radiation shit. That's what killed my mom. And I'm like, didn't you tell me your mom smoked from the age of 15 until she died? And you think that chemo's what fucking killed her, bro? Yeah. And like, I just like, shut the fuck up if you don't have anything knowledgeable to say.
Yeah.
It was like, and plus, don't tell people bad shit.
Right.
Don't relay the bad stuff to someone who's about to go through it.
Yeah. That's like people.
It's going to be like, I never tell people like a race. I'm like, dude, that climb up Columbine, you're going to wish you hadn't signed up sometimes. If you're in the wrong headspace when you start, I'm telling that ahead of time because then they're going to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the person who tells you like, oh, I was in a car wreck and I didn't have my seatbelt on and the other person did and they died. So therefore you shouldn't wear a seatbelt.
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's science to the T right there. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Apologies for the short interruption, but I've got a couple of favors to ask of you. If you're enjoying this interview on the Human Reboot Project, could you do me a couple of favors? 1, leave a review. 2, make sure you give us a follow. Appreciate it. Now back to the program.
Hey, so all the guests on the Human Reboot Project get to pick their theme music. We have a song, but the actual genre is up to you. So, and you can mix and match. You could do. I had somebody who did disco and classic rock mashup. So, thinking about your intro to this podcast as we edit it down, what genre would you like it to be in?
Yeah, probably reggae.
All right.
Probably like Southern California surf reggae.
Southern. I was going to write that down, but then I just remember recording this. I don't need to write that down.
Yeah, just like
Southern
I could send you my Pandora mix.
Yeah, I'll just put in Southern. What did you call it? Southern surf or Southern California surf reggae.
Reggae, yeah.
All right.
It's like all the white reggae dudes that do. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I remember that. What did you get music when you went through radiation?
I don't think I did, because the way they did mine, I had a mask, which you can see back
over there.
I do. Right there. So I had a mask that bolted me to the table, and then the machine was coming across me and making all these loud clacking noises. So I don't remember. I definitely didn't have any earplugs in.
I had headphones like you, right? Like what you're wearing now. And they go, "We have satellite radio. What would you like?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I have satellite radio." And I don't remember why, but it was every day they'd ask me. And a lot of times I'd pick Modest Yahoo, who is like, he's kind of gone away now. He was like, I think he's like a Jewish, like reggae, not really a rapper, but does a lot of it.
Okay.
I don't know. It was cool then, but that was 10 years ago. But now I'm like more into like, my play mix for the gym and for riding the trainer. If I'm not watching a show like Netflix, is like Stick Figure.
Okay.
Who's like a white reggae guy.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get some white reggae theme music for you.
Not that I don't like the original, like Jamaican, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, the standards, but I've been listening to that for the last 20, 30 years.
Fair enough. Next question is, you're out on a ride and you realize you didn't bring enough nutrition, enough food with you. It's a long ride. You realize you got a sweaty $10 bill in your back pocket. Stop at the convenience store. What do you fuel up on?
It's funny. It's the right time of year. I don't stop at the convenience store. I find some wild berries or wild fruit trees and eat off of those. Guys are always like, "What are you stopping for?" And I'm like, "Did you see that apple tree back there? I gotta go get some food."
That's too much fiber.
Okay, so how about we get cheaper and do like what I did beforehand? I said I never ate shit food, right? That was a lie, because I used to eat shit food on rides. And I like to carry everything. I don't like to have to stop. I usually know where there's water that I don't have to go in, so I can just fill up. Another thing, the water from the soda machines is always filtered because the companies want them to taste the same when you get like a soda out of the convenience store thing.
Yep.
So you get the water out of those and it's filtered. 25-cent oatmeal cream pie from Little
Debbie's. Hell yeah.
312 calories, 9 or 12 grams of fat. I used to know, and I'm like, if I'm desperate, I can take a quarter. I can go in there and buy, because they used to be a quarter. Now I haven't bought one since.
They're probably $1 now.
Oh yeah, since my diagnosis, I haven't bought one. Like, I make a ton of riding food. Like, I'll take wild pears and wild fruit, grind them up, and then dehydrate them down and make like fruit strips for myself. I make a ton of my own food. It works for training. You can't race with it. It's too hard to eat. But oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah. My Southern heart swelled 2 times its normal size when you said Little Debbie's.
Those things are so good.
Oh my God. I lived off of those and Cokes in college. So because that's all I could afford, because it's either like beer money or food money, right? I wasn't quite into cycling as much in my younger years. We've talked a little, or you've talked a little bit about or mentioned some of the bikes that you've ridden over the years, but what's been your like favorite bike of all time?
Definitely the Specialized Epic FSR full suspension with the brains, man. And I think so. The first one I got didn't have the brains, and I was like, this is like riding a mattress, like I said, it's squishy, it bobbed, I hated it. Downhill was fine, but pedaling sucked. I hate it. I'm sure that people were they put the brain on. I was like, oh my God, it climbs like a hardtail, and it was a pound, not even a pound heavier than the hardtail, I think. That was like 2013. I loved that bike. And then I got the Epic Evo, which is a little bigger and doesn't have the brain, and that took a lot of getting used to. I was like, this reminds me of the original epics from back in the day that were like a mattress. And some people are like, well, you got to mess with the setups. And I'm like, I messed with the setups for a year. I didn't care. Now, I don't care so much about being super efficient anymore, but I would not recommend that. I always say, if you want to go fast, get the new, like the ones with the flight attendant stuff. That stuff is amazing. I got to ride one of those around last year, and that's my next bike, is going to be the full flight attendant, trained, like, so that you got a lot of batteries on it.
Yeah,
dude, it's a dream. When you're riding rough stuff, it just adjusts so fast. I haven't ridden in other companies, but I assume they're all the same. They all kind of have their, like, I don't know what they all call them. I know I rode a Giant for like a minute to test it out, and it's similar.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Best advice anyone ever gave you?
It'd be my own advice. Get your tests. See your doctor and stay on top of things.
Good deal.
Don't blow off healthcare. Don't blow off an abnormality. And it's not that big of a deal to get your tests. I don't know how young folks are listening to this. Fuck, they don't care. Anybody over 40, get everything done. Like, whether it's in your family, whether you think you should. I mean, if it had been like in the regular scheme of healthcare to get a colonoscopy at 40, I would have been like, they would have snipped out a polyp and I would have gone on my way. I wouldn't have had to have radiation and chemo. I'm assuming, like, you could have had a shot when 100%. You were 15. Yeah.
100%.
It's not that big. You don't eat for a day, you take some drink, and then you go get high as a kite and somebody else is in control. You're not going to die or drive off the road.
Yeah. The worst part of the colonoscopy is the prep, right? The actual procedure itself is.
So I don't find it bad, but I'm a pro at it. Like, I do like a 3 or 4 day fast ahead of time, because I want the prep to be as easy as possible. And it's not that big of a deal. You just drink water and coffee. And then like the day before, you're not supposed to drink coffee after a certain time or something like that. But the coffee keeps me from being hungry. And coffee releases more glycogen in your body. So you don't really get the drops in energy. Some kind of caffeine. I usually do tea. But then when you do the prep, you can go light and way up on the prep, and you're not up all night. And I always ask, hey, everything's clean in there, right? Now, I'm on a regular rotation now, so it's not that often. I was at like a couple years at 2-year rotation, and now I'm at 3. And I think that's where I have to go the rest of my life or something. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know if they'll change it, but yeah, it's that. Just don't stress about it. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. And if you get, it's one of those preventable things where if they scope you and they find a polyp, hey, this is precancerous. We cut it out while you were asleep. You're good. Yeah. See you in a couple of years. And then you don't have to go through. It's a lot easier than going through treatment that takes basically a whole year of your life is spent
for sure
in and around the hospital.
For sure. Well, 10 years out, Garth, I'm glad that you are alive and well. And I really appreciate the fact that you've taken some time today to talk about your career, talk about your health and how you're staying healthy, and how others can follow the example and take care of themselves as well. So you're the man, and we appreciate you.
Hey man, I appreciate your advocacy for the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, you were the brave one who talked about it up front. I hid it for a year, for like 4 or 5 years. I was like, no, I'm wrong, man.
Yeah. Well, we all in our own time, right? So
yeah, man, each his own. Like,